Hello there guys, MMO Gaming and Tech here today, and we're going to be going over the Intel side of things. The Intel side of things, well, it's a little bit weaker, and it's a little bit more, costs a little bit more, and it does not come with keyboard and mouse. It does come with the operating system, which is Windows Professional 64-bit, but we'll get into that when we start the video. So, first off, we have the Intel Core i3-2120 dual core processor, 3.3 gigahertz, 3 megabytes cache, and this is the LGA 1155 socket. So the process type is now. Anyways, before we get while we get started on this, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys the overall build cost is gonna be around $700, shipping and taxes not included. Mailing rebates could possibly bring that down. But just one thing I wanted to say, AMD is more powerful. It's more powerful. It's more bang for your buck costing. Intel has more power for cores. They have more power per core. So two cores of theirs is probably like 3 of AMD's cores, but AMD's cores cost less, and that is what brings the performance ratios. Just AMD is better, guys. All of you Intel fanboys, stop being fanboy. Alright, get into some AMD stuff, learn a little bit more about AMD. You might like the blue box, but really whatever is inside is not better than what AMD can give you. So anyways, the process type is the Intel Core i3 processor. Obviously, we're at 3.3 gigahertz base clock. Now, you would notice if it said K at the end of the numbers, you can't overclock this. You could probably get like 3.4 gigahertz. This is non-overclocking speeds. So anyways, you can read all the information here, and I'll just give you a general overview of the box. Like I said, this only has 2 cores, and this is actually costing more than the AMD 8320, which is an 8-core processor. So really think about what you're going to be putting in your computer. I prefer AMD. AMD and NVIDIA can become a pretty good thing, but I just prefer AMD all around. You can put AMD and NVIDIA together, guys. It's not like it's impossible. Just because you see a ton of YouTube videos you're going to see Intel with NVIDIA and AMD with obviously their AMD parts. That is not going to be the case, and that is not the case you should have. Next up, for the motherboard, we are using the Gigabyte LGA 1155. That's the socket. If you didn't know, the LGA 1155 is the socket. We have a B75 SATA 6 gigabits USB 3, and this is micro ATX, so it's going to fit really nice in your board. And something that you don't really usually see is that this has 4 DIMM slots, so it could probably support up to 32 gigabytes, and that's what you can just read straight down here. And this is like the coding thing, so it's the GA B75M D3H. Now this supports the Intel i7, the i5, and the i3, and the Pentium, and the Celeron series, and obviously the chipset is the Intel B75 Express. And then the memory, we have 4 240 pins DDR3. You can have DDR3 up to 1600 megahertz, 1333 megahertz, and 1066 megahertz slots. You can't have anything but 1600, 1333, or 1066 in this build because it's not very powerful, and you're going to notice on the board it's kind of ugly. But starting out for just $70, I highly recommend it if you're going to be buying. I love Gigabyte and Asus. I love their motherboards. I will never use anything other than their motherboards, except for maybe EVGA, but that's a little pricey. So anyways, that is the motherboard. Next up, we have the RAM kit. This is the Corsair Vengeance 8 gigabytes, and if you're wondering, that's 2 4 gigabyte DIMMs. It says DDR3 1600 megahertz, PC3 1280. Now, this is usually $89, but since it is on sale as of June 22nd, you can read it down here, as of June 22nd, it is only $56, and I highly recommend this over any other thing that Corsair can offer. And if you didn't notice, this is the low profile DIMM. The high profile or standard profile, either one you want to use, is a little bit higher, and we're working with a smaller case that is the Specca one, but I should get to that later. Anyways, it's me running you right at $57, and if you're wondering, the density is 8 gigabytes, the speed is 1600 megahertz, the timing is 99924, type is DDR3, format DIMM. You can read the rest, and this is 1.5 volts, and it also includes lifetime warranty. That is why this price and the lifetime warranty included is just amazing for what you can get. Next, for our memory, just before we get into this does not have any fancy SSDs. That is for things that cost, like, I'd say 800 and above, but you can easily add in an SSD. I'd recommend the Samsung Evo 120 gigabyte or the 500 gigabyte. Just something you can use to install your OS on and make your computer boot up about 10 seconds faster. Anyways, we have the Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte, and this is a 3.5 inch SATA 6 gigabits, and this is the speed is at 7200 RPM. This is an internal hard drive, meaning it goes inside your computer. It's not external, such as this, for example. This is a USB, but just giving you a general thing. Anyways, this gives you quite a bit of memory to use, especially if you're going to be doing YouTube, gaming, editing, any of that kind of stuff. If you're going to be editing, I'd recommend that you get a Western Digital Black 2 terabyte edition. It's going to come in a little bit more, but honestly, and the fact that you can add in data recovery and to your protection is really nice. Next up, we have the optical drive. This is just something that you'd probably want to buy if you don't have, say, a USB that has your Windows. Let me just grab that. That has your Windows already downloaded onto it, or say like your drivers. Then you'd have to get one of these, and as you can tell, it's very big and bulky. But you know, a lot of the things that we do nowadays, you don't actually usually get a PC game from a store unless it's like really sold out somewhere. Usually, you would get it online, and I'm talking Steam, Origin, any kind of website that sells video games for your PC. But like I said, who uses this technology anyways? This is just an added-on cost that can actually be reduced, and you'd be reducing $17.49. And you're probably going to be wondering, what is actually running this build? We are going to be using the EVGA Supernova 550 GS power supply. This is an $80 power supply, and overall it is just very good for the price. As you can see, these actually run in the 50s. So we have the 550, the 650, the 650 again, the 750, 750, 850, and 850. Basically, the GS and the G1 are completely different things. And like I said, 650 GS, 650 G1, that kind of stuff. Anyways, this runs all the way up to 1600 watts. Just one little side note, 1600 watts is like running quad SLI Titan Z's or something like that. That's when you're going to want a lot of power. Or if you're running quad SLI, really nice cards, and you've got 2 processors running your computer, or just something crazy like that, that you would be running, would need that much. But honestly, I've never seen a computer have to use 1600 watts unless it's really, really powerful. I'm talking like $7,000 to $20,000 in just the entire overall build. And next up, we have the EVGA GeForce GTX 750 for the Win Edition. Now, with this, like I said, guys, Intel and NVIDIA just aren't the greatest. Obviously, NVIDIA is really nice, and AMD is really nice, but AMD's cards are a lot cheaper for better performance. So, I mean, you have a lot of things here. You could possibly add in that extra $17 that you would get from taking off the optical drive, and also the $62 from taking off the OS. Anyways, as my dogs started really barking in the middle of the video, this has ACX cooling. You can actually bring water cooling over to this thing, which I think is really cool. Here's just an overview of the card. It has 2 fans. I believe these are what? Actually, it tells you right here. So, it has 2 gigabytes of memory. That's built-in GDDR5 memory. Base clock is 1229 megahertz. The boost clock that comes with is the 1320 megahertz, and obviously the memory clock can go all the way up to 5012 megahertz effective. Next, NVIDIA is recommending that you use a 300 watt or greater power supply. We are using a 500 watt or 550 watt gold rated power supply, so this should definitely be able to run the card through the PC. And something I forgot to add in before we go straight to the OS, the Corsair card by Series Spec 01. This is an amazing tower. It's a mid tower. That's completely fine. The only thing I always say about the Spec 01 is that it is a little bit hard to build into, especially with the wire management and the cable management. But as you can see, there's a fully built board, and you'll recognize they're using all AMD specs in this one. As you can see, there is the nice, the nice Radeon card right there, and then I don't know what exactly the exact peripherals are, but you can see they've got a really nice setup inside this PC in the Spec 01, and you can see that it has the rubber things for the cables to go through, and it also has a couple of LED lights, which I thought makes this case excellent for the price. So guys, overall, what can you get for around $700 to $600 effective? Well, a couple of things I would recommend upgrading if you were to say remove this and remove the operating system, which is the Windows 7 Professional 64-bit only. As you can see, this is the Home Premium. I'm going to be going with the Professional just because it adds in some other things that I really like about it. But Home Premium costs around the same for the Service Pack 1 64-bit edition. If you want to buy it, another thing, if you want to buy it completely brand new, if you go ahead and just take a look inside, it actually comes with both of the discs, so you can use 32-bit or you can use the 64-bit if you choose. I'm going to recommend 64-bit because 64-bit uses all of the RAM that you put in. 32-bit, say you have 4 gigs, it's only going to be able to use about 3.5 gigs of those 4 gigs of RAM. So anyways, this is just it's just like an overview. So we have pretty good specs overall. Something that you definitely want to upgrade on if you can, and squeeze a little bit of money in by taking off. Say you already have this, and you've already got, say, the drive back there that I have, or something like that. You could easily take off the optical drive and you could reduce about $100. You could put the $100 into the processor. You're going to need it for this build. Because that is just what that's what Intel can do for you, sadly. But guys, that is going to conclude it for this $700 Intel PC build. Like I said, as always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you guys tell me any other builds or any specs you'd like for me to include in a next build. And also, the next build is going to be AMD. I think I want to go every other. So we're going to do AMD, which we did for the first video. We're going to do Intel, which we're doing for this video, and we're going to be doing AMD next video. So tell me some specs you'd like to put in to that next build that we do. And also, we're going to start off with some pretty basic, like we're going to do mix match, so we can do high end, super high end, low end, super cheap, like I'm talking $100 setup, anything you guys would like for me to do. But as always, guys, that is MMO Gaming and Tech here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.